In 2010, a bacterium called Liberibacter was spread throughout the Tamarillo industry by a small winged insect called the tomato potato psyllid. This devastating combination caused widespread tree deaths. Since that time, pest pressure has fallen away, and the industry is now in recovery mode, with trees being planted to replace those lost and as a diversification option for the kiwifruit industry. Growers are also creating a producer cooperative.
In about 2006, tomato potato psyllid came in, thought to have come in from California, where it's from, California, Mexico area. Was undetected for about 2 years. So during that 2-year time of not being known about, obviously there was this prolific growth and infection of plants. So by 2008 we had a situation where we had a lot of infection, not a lot of symptomatic plants, but over the following years we really hit big industry problems with about 2010, when those previously infected plants were now dying, and obviously the production dropped right off. Because it was infecting all the solanaceous crops, so it was affecting tomatoes, potatoes, capsicums, we were able to work with all those product groups, and we had a Sustainable Farming Fund project at that time to learn as much as we could about the insect, how it works, why it does what it does, the bacterium itself, and then how to combat it. I literally lost my whole orchard within 2 years. And so following that, in 2 years I had to replant over 10,000 plants. So for a lot of people, they exited the industry. I chose to go back to work, back to my town job, and keep some staff on at home and just keep things going. And yeah, it was really difficult for 2 or 3 years. If you think, well, sort of benefits that can come out of that situation is obviously being very coordinated and going forward as a group, having really good relationships with the science industry and ongoing issues that we have with Tamarillo mosaic virus, for example. Certainly the relationships we have with wholesalers and exporters is very good, and everybody's looking to grow the category both domestically and offshore.
Robin Nitschke is the manager of the New Zealand Tamarillo Growers Association, created by growers for growers to look after their interests in tree health, research and marketing.
It's been a challenging time, there's no question about that. We've left now with a solid core of growers after the psyllid hit us bad in 2010. I had noticed in my orchard, at the height of the psyllid, Liberibacter problem, that there were quite a few trees that were not being affected. So I figured that there must be some kind of tolerance effect coming through in the trees. That sort of gave me some encouragement, gave the industry encouragement that we were going to get through this. When the psyllid hit us, we implemented the Integrated Pest Management Program. That's basically, it's 3 things: protection, observation and intervention. And we've got 5 steps of that program. The first step is to identify any TPP or psyllid hosts outside your orchard. I'm talking Porapora, Black Nightshade, Cape Gooseberry. Second one is to determine the threshold above which we would spray. Now, so in other words, if you find 1 psyllid in 50, will you spray? 50 leaves checked. If you find 1 psyllid in 100 leaves, would you check? You need to determine that before you do anything else. The third one then is to monitoring, which is a pretty critical one. And we use what they call a search technique, a random search technique, going throughout the whole orchard. You'll find the psyllid underneath the leaves, not on the top, and mainly in the middle leaves, not the very young ones, not the very old ones. So it's basically just searching for them. And then once you've done that, what you do is, if you think you need to control it, spray, and the final one is the recording. And the recording and the monitoring one link very closely together. What I do with recording is, as I'm checking and monitoring the leaves, I'm counting the number of eggs, nymphs and adults I see, and I put these on a spreadsheet and graph it out. So at any one time, I know the psyllid status and the trend of any one of my blocks. We're sort of on top of it here. 5-10% loss is acceptable. In Gisborne, they have big problems. Although they imply a very robust, intensive management program there, they have a problem there with outdoor tomatoes. And when they get desiccated, the psyllid are on them, they're looking for another home. They're very, very prone to travel. They can travel huge distances, hundreds of kilometres, and they can snuff out a Tamarillo tree.
This is a fairly clean line of fruit. Obviously the market likes fruit to be perfect, but it's fairly difficult with Tamarillos. They remain a very challenging crop, climatically very labour intensive as well. So obviously very prone to wind damage, You don't actually see Liberibacter when you're looking at fruit like this. It's more affecting the tree, and probably if it's infected, then the tree is dead. This is a good example of another issue that we have, which has gotten a lot worse in the last few seasons, and this is fruit that's infected with Tamarillo mosaic virus. Purely cosmetic. These black blotches are just in the skin. It affects the tree more than it affects the fruit as far as the production of the tree. That tree will continue to yield and do okay for a couple of years. So comparing those two issues as far as psyllid, this will infect your whole orchard, but it won't kill it. Psyllid will go through and kill an orchard within a couple of years if people don't actively manage it, whereas virus will debilitate it in a sense rather than take it out. This has become very much more of an issue since psyllid, and the virus is spread by aphids, so the key for controlling this is to control the aphids.
About 12 months ago, there was a group of us, 6 local growers, got together because we were a bit concerned at that time with the extra increased plantings of Tamarillos, what that would mean for the industry long term. From that conversation, we formed a cooperative. Now, the cooperative is just 6 local growers. We're going to open it up to all growers end of the year. But with us 6 growers, we produce something like 45% of the total national crop. I suppose the main overarching reason for forming the cooperative was really to increase the value back to the grower. We're growing at a rate of probably 15% per year, so we can see that in a few years' time, our local domestic market could be capped. Our export market is difficult because a lot of people overseas, globally, they don't know what a Tamarillo is. So we're looking, therefore, to add value to the Tamarillo in the sense of product and also manufactured product into purees, pulps, extracts, concentrates for the huge food manufacturing industry. And also nutraceuticals and food pilots. We need to know where the Tamarillo fits in as a nutrient additive.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.